Let's call the meeting to order. I'm mighty glad to have blessed us from memory, reason, and skill. Help us to use them wisely in the service of our town government. We ask this in thy holy name, amen. We'll salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a little unusual meeting tonight. We have a public hearing at 7:15. I have to get a few things done before that. Certainly there will be a public forum later, okay? I'd like a motion to approve the minutes of February 9th, our last monthly board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the February 9th board meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. You have your town clerk's monthly report. Wish to approve? Further approval?
Make a motion to approve the town clerk's monthly report. Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. You have the minutes of the last zoning board of appeals meeting on February 18th. They were strictly for your information only. They are approved by that board, not us. You have your EMS monthly report. Any questions? Any board member have any questions? Get back to us on those.
Yeah, that thing is not the same report format that we got before.
No, we haven't been getting it every month either. We are starting to get it every month when we've asked for it.
Yeah, but I mean, the format they had before, number of calls,
Yes.
made a lot more sense. This just is their budget. It
Yes.
doesn't tell us what they've done.
Okay.
And it was a good report, the first one they sent us.
Yeah, it was a real good one.
This, I didn't, as of January 31st.
Okay, no, I was speaking with them, and I'll try to see if we can do that in the
I mean,
future.
it was a good report before.
Okay,
Yeah, we got that on 26 when I looked at it, and it was nothing like the previous one.
great.
Yeah.
I believe the previous one may have been a year-end report too.
No, it was a monthly one.
It was a monthly one?
How many
Okay.
calls, how many calls were made by Russell Point in our district?
Okay.
Quite good information there.
We have a notice from the real property office pertaining to the days that they're here in the office for assessment work. They're here every Thursday. Any other day of the week that it's possible they'll be here, not necessarily. So if it's another Thursday, I encourage people to call in ahead. But on Thursday, there's always somebody here for any assessment problems. We have a notice from New York State Electric and Gas pertaining to emergency numbers for the gas pipeline. If anybody has a problem with a gas, smelling of gas, and they want to report it, you certainly can call in here and get the number, or call in anyway and keep it on hand. That would be very useful for the residents. We have a request from the zoning board to send two people. It says three here on this page, but one is not going, there's only two. So that bill will be only 2/3 of, if I'm correct, Bruce?
Right, I just talked to our code enforcement officer. He's one that would like to go, and they're gonna go Monday morning and come back Tuesday afternoon. So the total cost would be $611 instead of $13.26.
Oh, okay.
So it brings it down quite a bit.
What's the total of it, 6?
$611.
Okay.
That's for the
Very good.
registration and the room.
Okay, if it's a desire of the board.
Make a motion for the two members of the zoning board of appeals to attend the conference at the 17th.
I'll second that.
Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's also carried. We got a letter here from Clinton County Health Department. Apparently, it's the first one I've seen in a long, long time. A person's dog bit the homeowner, the owner of the dog. and they had to confine the dog for 10 days. That's just strictly for information. You got a letter from Time Warner franchise fee, that we will be getting a check in 5 to 7 business days. We must have got it by now, because this letter came in February 24th. So this is a quarterly payment, I believe it's $1,566.
Julie, does it make a difference they've got on the second sheet?
Pardon?
On the second sheet,
Yes.
they've got, it's for the Village of Champlain, and it's addressed to the village clerk, 1104 Route 9 Main Street.
I'm not sure.
I mean, I wonder if
Oh,
they,
I didn't notice that.
Jane gets this check, I don't.
This came to the town of Champlain, though.
yeah, the cover letter has the right
Yes.
address, but the second sheet has the Village of Champlain address.
Okay, well, this doesn't need to be approved anyways. It's
Yeah, but it tells us
information.
what monies we should
Yes,
expect. you
I
know,
will
and-
check on that for you, Brian.
I mean, I'm just confused how
Thank you for noticing that, I did not notice that. Okay. We've got a copy of dog control officer's contract with Moores and Shazy. We share our dog control officer with Moores and Shazy. We do need to come up, this is for information only, I want you to read it over. Hopefully next month we can come up with our own agreement with our dog control officer. This gives us some guidelines of what we probably should do. Okay? Okay, gotta be handling that. There's some mandatory training coming up for our new justice of the peace in March and April. The cost of there is $115 per night, 2 nights, and the other one's $107 a night for 1 night. We need to approve. This is mandatory training. We don't have a lot of say on this one.
I will move that we approve it as presented.
Okay.
second that.
Any questions on this? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The last thing I have here, we did this 2 or 3 months ago when there were, for the standard workday for John LaBounty, our judge, for the retirement system. It was not done correctly. They got back to us, and we need a new resolution. You all got that? Okay. We need to approve a 6-hour workday. The term of office is January 1st this year, for, excuse me, to December 31st, 2019. As a result of record keeping, determining that it comes out to 24.31 work days per month. We need to approve this as amended from the last one that we did. The last one was sent in, it was not correct, they told us. Okay.
I make a motion to approve John LaBounty's workday sheet,
Okay, 6-hour workday,
6-hour workday
the term of office is stated,
into 2019.
Okay. and determine that it's 24.31 work days per month. Okay. Did I have a motion? I had a motion, did I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I know nothing on the building committees. Julie, you have anything for the town clerk's report? Okay. We got about 4 or 5 minutes here. Okay. We have a resolution to establish a building permit fee for commercial solar installation. We have a large solar project going on in town of Champlain. For the commercial solar installation fee shall be based on the DC kilowatt hours at a rate of $2.75 per kilowatt hour by the order of the town board. This billing permit fee for the first phase of this solar project is around $6,000. And it has to be in place, the billing permit has to be in place with the bonding certificates and everything before the billing permit can be issued. And they want to start, I believe, late this month, April. Okay? So I do need a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution outlining the cost for a building permit associated with solar energy panels.
Commercial,
Commercial.
not utility, okay.
Second.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay, or second, any questions on this one?
So we're making, this doesn't include household
No.
solar installation?
Strictly commercial.
Just commercial.
This is a huge project, it's several acres, if I'm correct, up on Route 276. Okay. Got a motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Well, we can do the,
Larry, can I
Yes.
bring up the water, Nikki and I have to go down and get our licenses renewed. We'd like to go down to the conference, Lake Placid from May 16th to the 19th.
May 16th and 19th, the Lake Placid, yes, okay.
I make a motion, we allow the two members to go. We have to keep our licenses up.
I have no problem with certifications, we need to keep them up. You made the motion, I assume. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it. I didn't hear the. That's for the our water license, this is on our water plant, okay. We have to go for 3 days of training, and we're gonna go on the 24th of this month, we got a class in Peru, of course, that's the local one. This is the one we have to go up and stay for 3 days.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Is there any questions on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's also carries. You got your abstracts for the bill. We'll do the actual bills later this evening. We need to award a contract, number 1, Pipeline Casale Construction Services for the amount of $5,383,501, pending your submission and approval of our required bond and insurance. So they have to approve their bond to guarantee the project and their insurance, okay? This is to lay the pipe in the ground. It's approximately 7 to 8 miles of pipe, I believe it is. Okay. We did open the bids last month.
February 17th, 7 bids were received. Casale Construction Services was the apparent low bidder. Upon review of their references and their corporate documents, we take no exception to you awarding contract to them. The bid amount is within budget and keeps the overall project on budget.
Okay, thank you. What's the will of the board? I'm thinking they're expecting to start construction this spring.
They're anxious to start as soon as we complete the award and execution of the contracts. They plan to mobilize as soon as possible.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the bid at 5.1.
5.3.
Is it 5.3?
$5,383,501.
Okay.
Okay?
And of course, this is gonna be all, Brian Carr is gonna be our watchdog on this project, and I anticipate them doing a good job, because there's been some comments made about the company that weren't that darn good, I'll be honest with you. But as long as they're gonna monitor this thing, and I'll make a motion that we approve the bid.
And this is pending your insurance and bonds, okay? Do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, any questions? If not, I'd like a roll call vote. John?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Stephen?
Aye.
And I for myself. Thank you. That's all that we need to do on that one, Matt? Sure.
Yep.
We just got a couple minutes here. Anything else you need, Matt, or?
Nothing regarding the award of contract, no?
Okay. Bill, you have anything other than,
No, thank you.
okay? What time you got, Calvin? You gotta be real careful here.
7:15 I've got.
You got, thank you. Okay, I'd like a motion to go into a public hearing
So moved.
for the purpose of discussing eminent domain. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Bill, you wanna go ahead? We've got 2 parcels that we need to move forward on.
Certainly. This public hearing is being conducted pursuant to eminent domain procedure law, section 203. It's New York State eminent domain procedure law. There were 3 parcels that were noticed to be considered for taking of easements for the purposes of installing water lines in connection with the water improvements to Town of Champlain Water District number 6. One of the property owners has since granted an easement to the town, so it's no longer required. The 2 remaining parcels are up on the board. I think we have a drawing of the location of the pipe for Global Fitness and Martial Art Club LLC. The easement being proposed is 20 feet in width. It's a permanent easement. It's for the location of a buried water line, the main water line that is necessary for the water district. I guess I'll defer to the engineers who are here to comment about why the proposed location is at that property, and to further explain what improvement it would be.
At this location, much of the water line on Route 11, on the south side of Route 11, is within the state highway right-of-way. However, in this area, it becomes congested with existing gas lines, existing wetland areas, and ditchways. The Department of Transportation would not allow the water line to be constructed within their right-of-way for this location, and hence the line had to be relocated onto the private property that was mentioned. It would be cost prohibitive to cross a road or look at other avenues for constructing that line.
And for purposes of, I think we'll just kind of keep each parcel separate. For purposes of the record of this proceeding, I have a map, a reduced map of what's shown up on the board, which I'd ask the town clerk to mark as Exhibit A, in connection with that proposed taking. Complete record of whatever public comment is made and received tonight will be maintained here in the office of the clerk, as well as that drawing if anyone wants to inspect it after. We had also previously discussed with the board that oral comments can be made tonight, but if anyone has any written comments regarding this proposed taking, those could be submitted for a period of up to 20 days, so the public record of this proceeding and this public hearing will stay open and remain open for an additional 20 days following this evening for anybody to submit any written comments regarding the proposed taking. So if anyone has any oral comments they would like to make now, now's the time regarding that particular proposal.
On this one property, just that one property. Anybody got any comments or questions they might want to answer?
I do.
Yes.
It is my property in question. I did come in today and speak with the engineers. And depending on the outcome of our conversation is going to depend on whether I actually sign for that eminent domain. So at this point in time, there's really not much else that can be said or done until our conversation that we had this afternoon is decided upon. And I had requested through the FOIL Act the information. I reviewed it. Wasn't too happy with regards to some of the documentation that was in there, some of the dates that were in there, the survey being one of them. And what I really didn't appreciate was how the eminent domain was brought on to me prior to me receiving the documentation for my review. And that also was based upon me signing an easement, was me reviewing the documentation. Then I get the eminent domain thrown at me when I requested that documentation. So depending again on our conversation this afternoon, we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Excuse me, for the record, you said you're the owner, but
Yes,
it's
I am.
owned by an LLC.
No, it's not. That is incorrect. As a matter of fact, it's SM LLC. And all my documentation and what I have, the filing of it, it's all there. So I don't know why your information is not
Well,
correct.
I'm relying on the tax assessment records and what they have in the real property office.
Yeah,
but-
well, I think I had a conversation with you when you had called about easement for the driveway. And at that
Not me.
time, are you Mr. Fabro?
Yes.
Oh,
but
yeah,
would
you did. I
discuss the
spoke to
driveway.
you. Well, they called me for an easement. Somebody called me for an easement, and I pretty sure it was you, about the driveway which Mr. Cole owned next door, to be able to come across. And at that time I said, if you look at that map parcel number, that's not mine. I can't give you, right away for that. So, I mean, there was a mistake made there as well. So that would need to be corrected to an SM LLC.
I don't know what that is, but it's fine. Anybody else have any comments on this particular parcel? If not, we'll explain the second one, though?
Well, just on that,
Yeah, yes,
since it's going, obviously the pipe is going by that property,
yes.
what is the vision? Why is there's a few properties past there, are they looking for this
Yes.
water?
Yes.
Some of these people beyond there are looking
Yes,
for the
there's-
water?
I don't know exactly, I mean, there's several all the way to the underpass, okay? Okay, that was the design of the outline of the original district. And the only reason we need this, because the state won't allow us to go on their right of way, they want us to
Yeah, I
go
saw
off
that,
the
yeah.
right of way, so it's a little complicated, okay, it is what it is.
Yeah, well, all I know is what I read in the paper, like everybody else here. And, in back of our property, when the gas pipeline came through, my father sold the gas pipeline, some
Yes.
some property, he got paid, and they pay for the taxes that's underneath the ground, and
Well,
has
that's-
no impact. Here, it looks like we're taking eminent domain, and then you're gonna charge them, you're not paying them anything, and then you're gonna to charge them because they've got this pipeline there that they don't want. It just doesn't sound
It's a little
fair.
bit- There is no, the next step, this is sort of an initial step for the board to even decide if this is where they're, gonna go forward, or not. After this, there'd be appraisals done on the property and offers of, whatever the value is for what they're taking. I've seen situations where they've assigned, or appraisers say there's no value because this is a buried pipeline in an area that cannot be constructed upon. It's in a setback area. No buildings are allowed in that close proximity to the bounds of Route 11. But that's going to be subject to an appraisal by an appraiser hired by the town in terms of determining value, which will then be offered to the property owner.
So it's not gonna be necessarily taken with no remuneration. That's a possibility.
Subject to whatever the appraiser says that
Right,
value is.
that's a possibility,
Yes.
because it just, I know if all of a sudden a pipeline was going by my property and I was assessed 5 units and I have no intention of ever using them, I'd be a little upset and I'd be.
Those are different issues, though. This part is just the taking of an area for an easement for the water line.
Well, it's a different issue, but it's the same issue. I think if it was just the
No.
eminent domain, that
It
would be
is.
one thing.
That's
but-
correct. If
Yeah.
it had nothing to do with me being charged 5 EDUs and you needed the pipe to go through for someone else that wanted to receive the water, I really don't have an issue. And as I said, my conversation that took place today with the engineers is going to be contingent upon that.
Okay, but it's separate from what we're looking at in this proceeding, this public hearing, which is the taking of an area to, an easement area for construction of the pipe. The discussions that some of you may have had, and we encourage those conversations if you want to have them with the engineer to talk about, the assignment of EDUs and everything else, but that's separate from this particular public hearing and what we're here to discuss. Any other comments?
On that particular site, okay.
The other site proposed for the taking for a location of a main service water line is located on Ridge Road. It's owned by Chris Niano. Sorry if someone's here from that company, my pronunciation of it, but it's a limited liability company that owns it. It's the old meat packing plant, I think, or property on Ridge Road. And it's a proposal to have an easement, construct the water line from the west bounds of Ridge Road to the north or east bounds of the northwest. And again, the engineer can explain better why that location was created and why they're looking for the location of the pipe to be on that property.
Yeah, the water improvements project that the town and village is undertaking includes many components, an important one being the improvement of water flows and pressures throughout the entire service area because of several looping pipes, new crossings of Interstate 87. This is just south of the Route 11 overpass, which is just up here. And again, working around the limitations that the State Department of Transportation puts on us for construction of utilities when they're right away. You can see this is where the off-ramp and then southbound, the on-ramp begin. They want no construction of utilities within that proximity. And again, to the north side of the overpass as well, which limits our ability to locate the line to get from the east side to the west side of 87. Which pushes us down into the property that was mentioned so that we can bring a new water loop from the east side to the west side, or conversely, which vastly improves the flow and pressure to all the properties and businesses in that proximity of Route 11. And again, any construction of that further south or in other directions is cost prohibitive or simply cannot physically be done.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on this one? Yes.
I have a question, sir. Leo, I live on a Gold Road. Just wondering what you intend on doing with the new line that was constructed for the McDonald's or Miramar Mall that goes down across the Paquette Bridge to Dubar Road and it crosses the field. Are you eliminating that? Or is this another line you're putting in?
This would be an additional line.
An additional line?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Which helps create the entire loop that we're talking about.
that other line that doesn't, you're always having trouble with that line. Goes through a cornfield and it's always flooded. You'd be better off relying on that one line. So it's up to you. But I've lived here 60 years, I can tell you what's going on.
Okay.
Where does this
Yeah,
water start
one
from?
question.
Where is it, where are you drawing water from?
Well, we're drawing water from the village into our new towers.
Yeah, the village produces all the water from their water treatment plant.
And that's from the towers.
Yes.
And then that gets pumped up into
But
the
that
towers
water
and that
in the
flows.
towers comes from wells.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I'd like to follow up on my first question if I could, please.
Yes.
The town built a line crossing the interstate on the Ridge Road, I believe, serviced all the homes on the Ridge Road. Their wells were contaminated by the old dump. Now, why don't you use that one instead of building an entire new system? I can't,
I believe that line
that's my.
crosses quite a ways south. In order to reach that, to come back up from that point up,
I'm thinking it's probably
Again, would be-
500 feet.
you can see Ridge Road right here. You see
You got the
87,
heat
so the
plant,
point
you
where
got
they
the telephone
would
company,
converge
Border
would be
Patrol, and then the line.
probably
So-
several thousand feet south, and also the rest of the Ridge Road line is only 6 inch, so it would limit the availability of flow, whereas the planned new line is 12 inch.
Okay, any other questions on this particular property on the Ridge Road?
And again, as part of the record, I'd like to mark this, so we can mark that as part of Exhibit A for that particular proposed.
Any other comments on either one of these properties, I guess? We're gonna have to take a vote to go ahead. If not, I believe we need a motion to allow Bill to go ahead and do the appraisals, am I correct? Hire somebody to do the appraisals.
We should do that, but as I said earlier too, the record will remain open for 20 days for any written comments as well.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so I will make a motion.
I will make a motion that we proceed with the eminent domain procedure.
The assess value of them, or
Obtaining assessed values for what this proposed taking may involve.
do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, now this is, we're voting on both properties, Bill, am I correct?
Right, and it's
Okay.
just to obtain appraisals for it, so we can evaluate further what it's going to cost.
This is a legal matter, so I would like a roll call vote
And so we're gonna leave it open for 20 days
for written
for
comments.
written comments on the domain proceedings.
And then after that, perhaps at your next board meeting, you have 90 days to finally determine if you're going forward with it. But in order to be, so the board, when you're making that decision, is fully informed, you're gonna have the oral comments of tonight. You have any written comments submitted within 20 days of tonight, and you'll have the value that, you know, is being assigned or established by the appraiser for these two
Okay.
properties or two proposed takings.
I did have a motion, second, didn't I, Joey? No? Okay, any other questions before we, John? You look like, no? No, thank you.
But I'll tell you,
I want a roll call vote, yes.
on both properties, and we're gonna go forward with the assessments, and we're gonna wait 20 days for written comment.
Yes.
That's what we're doing.
Yes. Brian?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Stephen?
Aye.
Aye for myself. So Bill, am I correct? That's all you need to go forward with this in the domain?
Yeah. At this point.
Okay. Should I have done that in open session, not in public hearing? Does that matter?
No, it's fine.
Okay, that's fine, okay. If there's no other questions on intimate domain, I need to close the hearing and go back to the public monthly board meeting.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Thank you,
I'll second that.
thank you. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Nothing else, Bill, that you can think of on the legal issues as far as going forward? And Matt?
Mike, don't leave, I'm sure people have got questions about the pipeline in general, if people
Well,
are
we're gonna
here.
have a public forum.
Yeah, I think so, people don't necessarily know that.
Yeah, well, I mentioned that early on, I believe I did, start of the meeting, because I did have some things that had to be taken care of, and I didn't want to get into a public forum from 7 to 7:15, because I know I have to have the public hearing at 7:15. Okay, I'm back in the public meeting now. Does anybody wish to address the board? Yes.
I'd like to ask one question. The three categories and the cost involved per individual house and then a vacant land and whatever,
Yes.
were these costs, the actual cost, were they just told to the landowners prior to the landowner signing? Is that fair for a landowner to not be told what he's gonna cost, charge him before he signs?
Goes all the way back to.
Yeah, no, that goes back to a different issue. That, again, we're sort of mixing property owners granting easements for the location of a pipeline.
I'm not talking eminent domain now.
I know, well, in some ways you are though. What do you, I don't know what you were being asked to sign.
I'm basically saying that if John Doe, who is probably on a fixed income, and gets told what I was told, when I asked the price, it said, there'll be a charge, but it'll be a nominal fee. That's, I quote what I was told. The gentleman right here told me that. Now, with that in mind, some of these people, if they would have been told that it was gonna be $100 for their house 4 times a year, they probably would have thought twice, and you'd probably have a lot more people here and a lot more people at your last meetings. This came like the cart before the horse type thing, and I don't think that's quite fair.
Yeah.
Well, I think what you're referring to though is the cost of the construction of the
Yes,
improvements
yes.
for the water district.
Yes.
Are you talking about this bill?
Yeah, and you're talking about formation of the district, but that goes back like almost, well, 2 years, but even a year ago, when it was finally
I
established.
understand there would be a cost, but when people don't know what the cost is, they were willing to go along, I think a lot of people, not knowing, myself included, not knowing what the cost would be, didn't realize it was gonna be exactly what it is and for the duration that it is. Because, like I said, I know I wasn't told, and I was curious to hear, and you just gave me the answer, people weren't told.
Because when it came time to ask for easements, that dollar amount or that district and all of that had already been finished. and
Maybe you
completed.
went too fast and didn't get your costs before you set your project up.
But that was part of, again, it had nothing to do with then going out and acquiring easements. That's just the necessity of, once the district was formed, and it was formed, I guess it goes back 1.5 years ago now. And then once that district was formed, and that's where there were public hearings, several public hearings regarding it. There was maps and plans and reports all on file in the county clerk's office, or the town clerk's office, excuse me. And, you know, those numbers that you're now referring to were in those reports.
No, they weren't. The last public, I was here, the last public hearing you had on the consolidation, and it was a blank check.
The consolidation didn't happen with that either, though.
No, but that last public hearing, there were no facts and figures, and people were specifically told you didn't have them. So they were not available, and people were told, and it's on record, I got it on tape, that the figures weren't available.
But again, the improvements we're talking about and what's happening with these EDUs was something prior to the consolidation of the water districts as well. It goes way back.
I know,
mean,
back
when the
in
district was
2003,
formed.
when you did a survey, if you're gonna have a survey, give numbers. Don't just ask people, they don't care if there's a pipeline running. Give them numbers and what they're getting into. You know, do a survey a year from now,
A current survey,
you know?
not one from
Big
two
difference.
thousand and three. The dynamics, the graphics, the economics of the area has changed exponentially since 2003. We never got, even though we were a business owner, we were renting at the time, so therefore we never received a survey. We never got to participate as one of these 240 people that are supposedly part of this new number 6 district. So I was told by Mr. Barcom that when I asked, with regards to all this, why wasn't there a public vote? Well, we don't need one. If 40% of the people want it, and we got that from the survey. I wasn't part of that survey, and the survey's from 2003. And I went through and I looked at the survey, I looked at the questions that were asked on this survey. Well, a lot has changed in this area since 2003, us with our business included. So how is that valid? Why was there not another survey sent out to these 240 people?
I don't know what the survey was referring to was.
Yeah, a questionnaire had been sent out a number of years ago, and I don't recall if the second one had been sent out subsequent to that, but a questionnaire survey to sense the public support for the project, which actually helped to create what ended up being the boundary for the district, based on where there was support, where there was not support for the project. There was
2003.
and subsequent efforts after that to understand who was interested and who was not interested. And it wasn't a matter of, again, a simple majority is all that's necessary for a district to pass by law. However, the town board, through the survey and through questionnaires and through other solicitations from the public, had an overwhelming majority of support.
What were these other solicitations?
Well, through public meetings over and over and over again.
And I had agreed with that earlier. In the bulleted list that I had sent for the documentations that I asked for, those meetings, 4 p.m. Who in here that works can come to a meeting at 4 p.m. in the afternoon? I can't. I'm running a business.
Well, the board meetings are at 7 o'clock at night, and I would say, just from my own experience of attending them, that this has been a topic of discussion for most of the last 6 to 8 years. In fact, most of the meetings are recorded and available online 24 hours a day. So that was a topic of discussion, and I think the town went through exhaustive efforts to try to understand who really wanted it and who didn't, and they tried to draft a district boundary to represent as much as possible who wanted it and who didn't, and exclude those that didn't wherever possible.
But on the big scheme of things, 240 people is not a lot. So if they, like I had said earlier today, can send out 240 letters to everyone in the district saying, this is the beginning of explaining the loan amount, the $2,000 grant amount, the $11,420,000 end result of that loan, the billing was going to begin, and this fiscal year, because starting in 2017, that payment was going to come due. If they can afford to do 250 or 240 of those, turn around, send out 240 bills, How can they not send out 240 letters? Just a quick little question, look, this is what it's gonna be, this is anything with more information than what has been given. Not everyone spends time fishing the internet if they have children, they're involved in other things, own business. Like I said, I don't have time for them to get up to read the newspaper daily, so that option's out to me. It's not, there should be more in the way of notification. It's in the big scheme of things, 240 is a pretty small number. Northeastern Clinton School, how many students do they have? 400, 500, 600 students? I get an email every single day with the agenda in the news. If Northeastern Clinton can send out emails, how come the town of Champlain, knowing that these 240 people are making up this new number 6 district, could not ask for information like that to keep people updated? Because they don't feel they needed to, because they were publishing it in the paper, or because Mr. Passfine spent time here filming it. It's not realistic. People go about their lives every day. This is huge. This is a huge commitment for 240 people over a 30-year period. And when speaking to Mr. Barcombe, he also said to me, oh, this is going to increase the value of your property. That's insane. Anyone that's in business, if they're going to come look at my 8,400 square foot building, knowing how much their loan's going to be, because they've already gone to the bank, okay, they want set numbers. What's your utilities every month? Is there any permanent payments? What else is left to be attached to this building? And then I then say to them, by the way, you've got an extra $2,260 you've got to cough up every year. And you know what? There's 25 years left to it. Do you think that's going to enhance my building or my property? Absolutely not, especially in this area. This is a hard sell area. It's not going to happen.
Just to set the record straight, if I heard you correctly a minute ago, you said, I said that 40% of the people wanted it or more?
Yeah, I wrote down our conversation.
Well, I never threw that figure out because I don't know where that figure came from.
You absolutely did. I took it down as we were speaking on the back of the letter I was sent.
I'm not going to argue the point. I would have never had that figure in my mind. I wouldn't know where it came from. Okay? You
That's
certainly
fine.
don't.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm not going to argue the point.
And I will say, from as much of an independent voice as I can, having assisted a lot of towns going through district formation processes, that, I mean, obviously they took all the minimum legal steps required, and in fact, worked with the media to try to have more notice of this in papers than most do. I have clippings of numerous articles regarding the status and updates of the project through the years. So I've seen it myself.
I really don't have any objection with the project per se. The only objection that seems unfair is the fact that you are getting people to sign not knowing what the cost was going to be. How many people, I'll ask the board, how many people would go buy something and not know the cost?
And again, back to the discussion, the district formation process started nearly 2 years ago. And that district formation process involved publishing the cost for each individual in the
Per household, per?
Yes.
It published it where?
It was in the paper. Actually, it was in the paper a couple times.
I just asked the question before and nobody was told. Not a landowner was told when they signed up what the cost was gonna be. And I know what I was told, and I don't think that that's fair. I think that the town went too fast in that direction. If you would have given the landowners a chance to say, this is what it's gonna cost you for 20 years or whatever the situation is, and so much per year, per quarter, whatever, it should have been done before the bills went out, and then they finally saw for the first time, most of them, what the costs were. That doesn't seem like it's a fair procedure. That's all that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Gene.
Thank you. The gentleman had stated that there was a survey taken and they set up this district by who wanted it, who didn't want it. And personally, I didn't want it. I have a well. Now I'm being charged to be in the water district. If someone had asked me, I would have said, I don't need to be in the district. I do have documents from 1956 on up where my neighborhood formed the Iron Bridge Water Association. It was Mr. Paquette, Larry Paquette helped us out. I have his signature in one of the documents. We all paid for our own water line installation. We hooked onto the village of Champlain, paid for everything, did all the labor. Went on since till 1991. There was a leak developing in the pipe, and we had a village, which I have, a letter from the village stating that they either replace the lines or they were gonna shut the water off. So I also have the other letter that we sent back that we respectfully thank you for the water usage. We all decided to drill wells, and we did not, no longer needed the village water. And everything was signed off, and it's been 25 years, and we haven't had any trouble. I invested a lot of money in the well, so did all my neighbors. There were 6 homes in our association. We decided it was cheaper to go out and hire a contractor that could drill 6 wells at once, saving us a lot of money versus 1 well at a time. So I don't think it's right to force me into a water district and send me bills when I have my own water district. Nobody asked to encroach in our water district. This is all documented for almost 60 years. And Larry Paquette was an honest man, and he would snooker his neighbors. He's the one that helped us form this district. And I guarantee you, I don't think it's right for me to get a bill for something I don't get. It's like getting a NYSEG bill when you're not hooked up to the grid, the way I look at it. You know, knock on wood, my well will probably go bad in 2 years, but for now it's fine, and I would like to leave it alone and save myself $400 and something a year. Extra bills that I really don't want to get right now. But I thank you for your time.
There's a gentleman in the back who's trying to speak.
My name is Adrian Coupel. I'm Leo's neighbor. I own two of the 3 properties on our road. I bought the one home in 2004 and the other one in 2007. At the time, nothing was mentioned. I've been there since 2004. I never received any survey form or nothing stating if I wanted to be part of the water district. One home is vacant. Nobody lives there. I use both properties as my own. I bought that second property just for the land, not for the house. I keep it powered and I keep it heated, but I don't use it besides storing stuff. And I'm getting 2 water bills for both properties. Like she stated before, and I got 2 wells. Like she stated before, Champlain is a small town. It's not a big booming town. There's no really manufacturing jobs here. Pretty much everybody that I know works outside of Champlain. If I wanted to live in Plattsburgh, because I work in Plattsburgh, I would have moved to Plattsburgh, but I grew up in Champlain and I want to keep living here. But if the town is going to force us down our throats, I don't have a choice but to reconsider, you know, selling the properties. And like she says, I'll probably lose my shirt off it because it's an attached bill for the next 30 years and move to Plattsburgh. Thank you.
That gentleman over here who's up there, I understand.
If anybody needs to talk about their ED assessments, get their contact information, we'll set up a meeting with them.
Yeah, anybody who wants to talk to the engineers, call in to me, I'll give you their number. They'll answer all your questions.
We can set up individual meetings with anybody that needs it.
Okay, I understand that.
Excuse me, might I ask a question?
You're done?
I'll do our best here.
No.
I've got a piece of property on Finley Drive, Finley on Drive, that is inaccessible by any direction.
Yes,
You can't put water on it, you can't, the piece is only 55 feet by 31 feet. You can't even put a shed on it. That's how small it is. It's made in a teepee shape.
Am I correct?
And I'm being charged $59 for that? It's not gonna happen. I will refuse to pay it.
We'll sign it over to the town.
It's all yours, because I will not pay it.
Okay, I understand your issue. Am I correct that this piece is not contingent on your personal house lot?
The trailer park on Centennial's Lane,
Yes?
When you go down to the end of Finios Lane, that last lot, there's a corner, that's those dimensions.
I have the map right here, I can show it to you if you want it.
I believe you, I have no problem.
That's all there is for property that I'm being charged. 50 some odd dollars for that one little piece that you can't get water to. And I will not pay.
It's,
Okay, I understand. Steve?
I'm in the same situation as this gentleman. I got two lots, one next to each other. One's a family unit, and the other one, I'm being charged for half a unit. All it is, you can't really do anything with it. I mean, it's just a little stage, not that big. I just think it's kind of unfair that some of us are going to be charged $56 for something basically they can't use or probably will never use. And reading some of this stuff in the newspaper here, when you say develop, it said the charge could even go up if the land was, if your owner chose to develop it. What do you consider developing it? I mean, why would I want to develop it when I'm never going to use it? I mean, it's nothing.
Is it a possible future building lot or anything?
It's a separate tax map parcel though, Steve.
well, we can't build anything on ours.
But I mean, it's, you know.
Does it border up to your house property?
Right.
Does it border onto your house property?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you thought of merging it with your house parcel?
You merge it with the
Ours is
house
partially
parcel,
done.
you got one parcel, and I still want you.
How would I go about that?
We would pay separate taxes on both.
That's what I
you
mean,
wouldn't
if you
have to.
merged them, you'd have one tax
You'd
map
have one.
with one residence.
You can do that with a piece of town property and a piece of village property?
Well, then you've got a different situation.
I'm on the paper though.
Yeah, you got it, yeah. So, I know the insurance, and those are issues that, you know, the engineer should discuss with you
Okay.
and look at.
So how would I go about this, Bill?
Talk to the assessor.
On Thursday, he's here on Thursday.
Yeah.
Just give him a file, it's a simple form. It may take a few.
It would be a big help, like Dick said, Mr. Cole said.
Another gentleman stopped.
There are some of us that are retired and just on Social Security, and this is a big shock.
Another gentleman that had a similar issue to you, he owns two parcels, one's got a building on it, the other one doesn't, but they're together. And he says he's gonna mingle them together, which is fine, but he has not, so he wanted us to do away with the bill. I can't. If he does it before the next bill goes out, then we'd have to take a look at it, okay? And do that. I
Now,
don't.
these bills that are coming, these are what, every 3 months or every 4 months?
Three.
Every three.
But Matt is not here, but that's an interest loan payment due next January. That's not necessarily gonna say that figure, it could go down next year, they told us that already. Okay, could, I'm not saying, okay, I gotta be very careful about that.
Could it go up?
Yeah, that's the question.
They're telling us, I don't wanna be quoted, yeah, they're telling us, no, it should go down, that's what they're telling us.
It's complicated because once the system is up and running, the village of Champlain is also contributing to this debt service and the cost.
Yes,
But
our bill went
in your-
from 3-something to 4-something.
Yeah, so it's,
In your particular case,
Wasn't that the purpose of unifying all these water districts to spread the cost to everybody?
yes.
that's right.
Of course it was.
But what happens if you didn't sign an assessment, an easement?
If you don't sign it, it go onto your property?
No, I didn't.
I know, I understand, in your case, it's a little different, because we need a right of way onto your property. The average homeowner, who we
But my
didn't-
husband passed away, so everything's in his name,
Okay,
and I'm getting bills.
But these, that's why I keep saying the easements have nothing to do with that. Some properties,
But I have no right to it yet, everything's in court.
no, I know, but the easements, whether you signed or not with the easement, have nothing to do with these bills and the creation of the water district. All of that happened before. Once the district was formed, then we went out and tried to get easements to locate these water lines. Someone who hasn't signed, it's just gonna be an additional cost to the district. most people signed and gave the town the easements they needed so this construction can begin.
Yeah, if the
So
pipe
I'm
goes-
not responsible for this right now.
I'm not sure about your particular parcel, you know, these are the two that we,
If I am correct, the pipe is going by her property,
okay?
so she's still reliable for some of the debt service on that line. She does not have to take the water.
No?
If she does not take the water at the time of construction and wants it later, she's gonna have to pay for it.
That was all part of with the formation of the district. If you agreed and gave an easement to the town, part of the cost of this district and the improvements is to dig and.
But I have no rights to anything yet. So say like if I did want it, I can't even sign anything yet. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I'm not sure. See, just because the water pipe is going by in front of your house, it did not, the town didn't necessarily need an easement from you, just as he was explaining with, yeah, well, that other property, S&M, whatever, M&S, was it? I'm sorry. Anyway, whatever, because they came out of the right-of-way. Sometimes they're going by properties and they're staying in the right-of-way, so they didn't even need an easement from every property owner that's in the district. I'm not sure about your particular parcel. When we look at it,
If
you
I'm
give me your
correct, she's on
address.
Hayford Road, so
Yes.
we did not need an easement from you to go up.
Then why were they sending me stuff?
Pardon?
They were still sending stuff in my husband's name that they
It
needed
may have
him to
been an
sign.
easement for the lateral so that they could establish,
Yes.
put the pipe,
We
or
did-
put a lateral to service your residence from the road.
We do not need an easement to go by your property on the town right away. We need an easement to go onto your property to hook you up, okay? That's what we need the easement for. In the other case, we have to go off the town right away, that's why we need an easement, okay? To put the pipe, the main pipe.
As opposed to a lateral. Because
Yeah.
if you didn't want to give us, or give the district an easement to establish the lateral to your house, if you didn't need to, and the lateral wouldn't be installed.
Is there, yes, go ahead.
I got a question. If you don't hook up to it, you still gotta pay for it.
Yes.
Why didn't these people get a better price rather than paying the top price? Say, hey, you got good water, we'll give you 50% off, but when you do hook up, you have to pay for it. I don't understand.
I understand your question.
I don't understand why put these people to a pinch that they're forced, you know, the water. I want it, but I can see other people saying, hey, I got great water, guys. I got great water. But we should give these people at least a benefit of the doubt. Say, hey, we'll give you a break because you don't want it right now. Because we could sell our property and probably the owner would say, hey, I think we're gonna hook up to, you know, the new water system. But I can't believe that you can force people to do this, and I guess you got the rights to do it. Is that what you're saying?
They do.
I'm saying, the state tells us in my credit bill, if the pipe goes by your property, okay? You gotta pay a portion of that debt.
Well, because that improvement is for, and your property is included in the district, and I know this isn't a good group to say it to, but theoretically, it enhances the value of property to have public water. It may say, I know, I said theoretically.
That's a joke.
I know, well, I mean,
In a
that's
less
the theory of
depressed
it.
area.
In addition,
In a less depressed area, most certainly it would.
and I believe, and again, I wish the engineers were still here, but there were other savings or other,
There is other savings?
well, I shouldn't, I don't wanna call it savings, but they're, you know, hopefully, because fire hydrants are
Benefits,
part
there's
of
other
it,
benefits, as he
That's the
explained
better
it to me
word.
today.
There are other benefits.
What do you mean,
Fire
more
hydrant.
house insurance?
Your homeowner's insurance should be
I
better
know all
because of
about that.
fire hydrants.
I mean, I know we need some, but
Yeah.
And the water drain.
Continued water pressure was another one he had explained to me today.
Correct.
Because of the water
And there
tower, as those
also,
being
and the
benefits.
reason the village contributed is also part of this is because it's going to improve the quality of their water. Part of the improvements that are being made is because there are pressure system or issues throughout the system that the village even has now, as well as some of the outside users within the town. So it's supposed to more evenly, or create more even pressures throughout the system.
and also significantly treat the water that is in that system for hard water. I guess it's a big problem, I've been told from the village, and that the village water currently is very
A lot
hard.
of minerals deposits.
And a lot of people have issues with that, so part of the system is an expense to create some kind of.
So we're gonna be paying for all that nice stuff.
Yeah, for the village people.
But what happened,
Well, it's not
what
just
happened
for
is
the
the
village,
system
it's for
go
the town
bad,
also.
The new district.
and
For the ones who
it's not
have.
going to be 100% what you're telling us. We have to still pay for it.
Yeah, not
Correct?
for us. Yeah.
If the system is not doing what it's supposed to,
Yes,
the softness and
yes.
all great stuff
Pressure.
that you're telling us, what happened
I guess it's safe.
if it fails to a point that, well, they have to live with it, because that's the best we can do?
Well, if they're gone now, I guess I get to say, Real, I've never seen a engineer get it wrong, so I guess we're all set.
I would think it'd be state requirements, that you have to abide by state requirements, if not.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
water's
but
not gonna
who's
make certain
gonna-
quality. Although the village water, I don't know, I remember from years ago, the village water was bad, I haven't had it in years, but, yeah, I don't know.
They had big my daughter attended St. Mary's, and unfortunately, the day that the boiled water order went into effect, the school wasn't notified. So you're talking pre-K through sixth grade, a whole day of kids eating, drinking, washing hands. We brought my daughter in the next day to school, everything was duct taped off. The drinking fountain, the waters, because they were so upset that these kids went a full day without any notification. They wanted to ensure that, they weren't gonna be subjected to it. So from that point on, my daughter, while she attended St. Mary's, and I still have one child at Northeastern, does not drink the water at school. We just don't allow it.
Most commercial buildings need sprinkler systems. We will have the proper pressure to accommodate that, okay? And the other advantage, if you wanna call it a benefit, there's about 60 fire hydrants totally in this project, okay? So your insurance rates should show that, okay?
They
Okay, so-
should, but they won't. I mean, like, I'm 4 miles from the station.
But you will have.
Would I pay, no, I'm talking even my home residence, it's 4 miles from the station. And I pay $962 for homeowners insurance, and that's the cheapest I could find with a $500 deductible.
It seems high.
So absolutely, it seems high, and I'm 4 miles from the station, so there's absolutely no guarantee that your insurance carrier is gonna drop it because there's a fire hydrant 2 miles down the road from you.
It does make
I
a
would
big
personally
difference.
bring that to their attention, because they probably won't ask you to reduce your rate, okay? But you
But
need,
you ask.
when the water gets flowing, you need to tell them, hey, I got a fire hydrant right out front. Yes,
I have
sir.
one last question. I've
Yes.
been sitting here listening to all of this. I would like to know what gives the town the right to charge an individual a service charge if they own a piece of property that is not utilizing the water service whatsoever? Who came up with this? And how do you validate being able to charge somebody for something they don't want, first of all, and they don't use?
Because the loan has to be repaid.
Exactly.
So those 240 people in the number 6 new district.
I'm on the Ridge Road. My wells never tested bad. I had to cap 2 wells that were perfectly healthy because an engineer said, oh, well, there's that possibility. Right up to the very day that well was capped, it was clean and the water wasn't hard in both wells.
I understand.
Yet I'm paying this service charge on one of those pieces of property, and have been for 3 years now, and the building's for storage.
I understand.
What gives the town the right to charge me a service charge for something I don't use? What gives you that right? I've researched state law. I can't find anything in state law that so who created this?
It's actually 2 ways of taxing the improvements for the district. You can either do it on an ad valorem basis, which is strictly based on the value of the property, or you can do it as a benefit basis, which is what the town did in this instance, which is to say, okay, if you have a single-family residence, that's one equivalent dwelling unit, and you're going to be taxed that way. On the other hand, if you have some type of commercial operation or business, that uses a lot more water, and rather than tying it to assessments, because you can say that's pretty arbitrary too, because you have two single-family houses, one's assessed at 100 and the other's at 300. They may use exactly the same level of water, but the $300,000 house is paying 3 times toward the improvement than the single-family house that's $100,000 in value.
But
So
the service charge is uniform.
The service charge is uniform to the extent.
And that just keeps escalating and
Well,
escalating,
but
which
that's
is
the
normal.
usage, and hopefully the usage fees are gonna go down as part of this consolidation. That's another part of the shared service with the village. The town rates that are being charged for the usage of the water, which is different than what we're talking about now, the charges for the construction of the improvements. The actual usage fees should go down. That was part of what was negotiated with the village for their contribution and agreement to being part of this.
Once we get hooked up, like myself, do we have to tap that well?
If I'm correct, you can use that well, but you can't intermingle that water with public water. Mickey can probably address that. You gotta have a check valve or.
You just have to have,
But
they
you're
can't
not
be
gonna touch-
interconnected.
You're not gonna touch my well? No, that's fine.
We're not gonna touch your well. If you wanna use it for washing your car, mowing your lawn, watering your lawn or whatever, that's your business. But it cannot be, or any cross-contamination between the public water and your private well.
Understand.
Okay? A gentleman way in the back there, yes.
You're saying this is a tax?
I'm calling it taxing the improvements.
Taxing
I mean,
their
it's-
improvements,
it's
so
it's
why can't the?
tax because you're being charged for the
Why can't the
improvements.
bill? So why can't this be stated as a tax instead of a bill? Because it looks-
EDU charge.
What's that?
It's
Yeah,
an EDU
yeah,
charge.
what's an EDU charge?
We don't
Equivalent
use-
dwelling unit charge.
And the
Because that's
engineer
the benefit.
did tell me today that the EDU prices, or what they get for each home, business or whatever, that the state actually has like a big, long list of what they go off of as like a median kind of middle. There was nothing for me, but that's what they're basing it on. So it's on a whole, so they don't base it on by demographic area. Like, okay, this northern tier area is demographically this way economically, or this area, you know, it's more metropolitan. They don't do it that way. It's one, like, bulleted list, a median across the middle, which doesn't seem right either. But he did say that they do tweak that, you know, when they look into, you know, like our situation even. That's where those EDUs come from, it's from the state.
Yeah, for similar, like, whatever similar businesses and square footage and everything else of the business. It's more difficult in the commercial operations than it is for residential units, things of that nature.
Gene, yes.
Yes, would my end of Leggett Road be included in that new water line?
No, you're not on the line, no. You're on the Leggett Road?
Yes,
No, we don't, the line does not go that far out.
but do I have to pay the $113?
No, you didn't get billed, did you?
Well, I got something about the $113 and I didn't understand
Well, do
it.
you own a lot somewhere
No,
other than your house?
no,
Your house is, am I correct, on Leggett Road?
yes, 470.
And you got a bill?
I got something of
Like this?
$113 and I didn't know what they were talking about.
Like this?
No.
No.
What? Well, was it to the town?
I'll get my paperwork and bring it in.
Well, stop in someday, let me take a look at it.
Yes.
Certainly, you're not in the water district. Anybody that's not in the district would have not gotten a bill. If somebody got a bill by mistake, I can't imagine it, but it could happen. They come, find out they're not in the water district, they're not gonna have to pay the bill. But we were very, very careful about all these surveys and maps and who's included and who wasn't included.
Survey you weren't careful about, because that was from 2003.
Okay. Anybody else, yes, gentleman here.
I just want to go back to something the engineer said. Obviously, he's not here, so I can't really speak to him personally about it, but he said that he's seen this work hundreds of times, is his quote, is that the thing is, this area is not going to be the same as what he's looked at. This area, all of the manufacturing jobs are gone. Wyatt is basically, nothing there is there anymore. anymore is the same thing in Champlain. There's nothing that is really, besides UPS, is a huge business. The area is job starved. And a lot of these people, and from what I've heard, either like they cannot afford to live here anymore if this is gonna be imposed. And to be forcing people to basically move out of your district because, and for businesses too, if businesses can't stay, what is that doing for the local economy? If, like, at least 2 or 3 businesses I know that probably are not gonna be able to stay open because of this.
And we're probably, I'm going to probably be one of them. I've been here for 18 years.
I understand your question.
And that gym services a lot of the surrounding community. And I've spoken to many people in the gym, and they are very upset, even if they are on your water district, that they are going to be losing a service that she has provided for 18 years with no give back from the town. And now all of a sudden, she's being penalized and they're being penalized, and I will be penalized because I'll be losing a job. That all of a sudden, this water district is now formed with a survey that is 13 years old, where the demographic has changed, the economy has changed, the entire area has changed. That survey, I'm very surprised that it's even legally allowed to use a survey 13 years old for something that is having such a huge impact for the people in this area. That is
about how long you've been working on the project.
That is, but then those people
So
that
update
you
the
survey
survey.
aren't the same people. Those people that you, if you've been working on it for so long, the people that you started with,
How
they
many
are no
still
longer
there?
here.
Are those 240 people, the ones that said yes, how many of them are still there?
I didn't know my property then.
And on the people that are now, the 240 people making up now, either haven't, never really understood how much, as then, like someone had said, they didn't even know up until like recently how much they'd be paying for this. And it's like that, to be forcing people, and now basically crippling, an already basically crippled area, is just, it's terrible.
What I would like to state, the engineers told, they did have another meeting tonight at 8 o'clock, close by, they had to get to it. They will come back, they will visit with people individually to go over the concerns. We need to kind of maybe try to get them all in a day or two, we don't want to have them over
When?
here. I don't know yet. Okay, but I know who you are, and I can give you a call.
Okay.
I assume your house is in the village, but this lot is in the town, am I correct?
We live on Finley Drive.
Which is in
And
the
the trailer park is on Finneil's Lane. And this is a little teeny piece that isn't even trailer park
I understand.
usable.
Am I
It's
correct?
actually on a hill
Your
in a
residence,
small flat.
your residence is in the village,
Correct.
Yes,
and this piece of property you're talking about is in the town.
yes,
I understand.
and it's landlocked.
I understand.
My poor
I
daddy.
can't just arbitrarily tell you, don't pay the bill. That's
Well,
not my prerogative.
I
okay?
mean, I will,
But if you would like to come in,
I would.
I don't know if you're available when or what, I
I'll
probably
make
can't-
myself available.
Okay.
When are you available?
Well, that doesn't do any good. We need the
You need to
engineer.
talk to the engineers.
The
Okay,
engineer.
There are the ones.
Yeah,
This board did not set these
Right.
EDUs,
I realize that.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, we set the EDUs, but on the advice and, the engineers.
He was very good at explaining it today. He did a very good job. He was
And I think it
very
would be helpful
informative.
if there was more of a public session where he could.
Are commercials susceptible to being changed by the town, by the board?
Yes.
They are susceptible. The reason I say that, I mean,
If somebody
it's
has a
nothing,
good- if somebody has a good argument that their EDUs is too high, and the engineers recommend that we reduce it,
I'd like to give you another example, like George just did. The man who got really hot went out here, Mike, I don't know how many people know him, he owns the Beaumont bowling lanes right now, which I used to own. And they're struggling, they don't have a lot of business there. And they just, nobody told them, because I talked to them, they didn't have any idea, they didn't know anything was gonna be anywhere near the amount of money it is. It's pushing almost $3,000 a year for the construction phase of your project. Well, that's more money than these people right now, they're struggling down there.
Yeah.
And you've gotta take those kind of things into consideration. I'm not against the water district by any means, but there's things that have to be contacted and being taken care of.
if you speak to that gentleman, have them call in. I'll try to get an appointment with the engineers. I'd like to do them several.
We can't afford to lose any more businesses in this area.
I got the last question here.
Yes.
Number one, I do want the water, but I want to know one thing from this board here. years ago, Ross's Point, Champlain, should have got together. You've been working on this how many years? Since I've been here. 10, 12 years? Why
That's right.
couldn't you people, you're professionals?
You need to ask the bill, you
Wait a
need to
minute.
ask the village of
You're
Ross's Point.
professionals.
I have
Go
an
and talk to
answer.
them.
I have an answer.
That's
for
where the
that.
problem is. You know that.
Well,
Al, you know that. You're just.
Yeah, but there's ways to get around these problems.
We started this shared services project with the village of Champlain, village of Rouse's Point, and the town of Champlain, originally. Mickey can attest to that. It was, instead of a $13 million project, it was gonna be close to $18 or $20 million project. They were gonna get a new water source and everything else. And all of a sudden, they tell us, hey, we're backing out, we don't want nothing to do with it.
At the 11th hour.
I remember that.
And what you did, you just dropped it and didn't go to the next step.
What would the next step have been? The next step?
Negotiate with probably some that has got higher authority to make these decisions. Because on the board,
It doesn't work that way.
it doesn't work.
Yeah, you can't make a board decide something.
You can't negotiate.
Why do you have a lawyer?
Well,
You can't force them to
They
do it.
decided
Make
they
sure
didn't want to be
they
a part
follow
of
the
it, period.
law.
Could you imagine if you had Rouse's Point hooked on for this?
I mean, sometimes you gotta put the bad feelings aside and come together.
I totally agree with you, and we're willing to do that.
But the village of Ross's Point is not willing to do that. And that's where the problem is, because if the village of Ross's Point would have hooked on, it would have been 2,500 EDUs on top of what they're talking about, which would brought the bills down. But you got a hard-headed mayor in the village of Ross's Point that does not like the town of Champlain.
I didn't say that.
And I said that, and that's the problem.
Well, didn't Rouse's Point just have a crisis with their, with
and you
with the quality
guys-
of lake water,
If-
for a prime
Well,
example?
let me tell you.
Yet they're still, they're still balking.
Okay, we got a major pipe going all the way to
Which makes no
the
sense.
underpass. If they want water,
Right, it's right there.
it's there, they can, there's gonna be a valve there with a meter on it.
Yeah, and I can foresee down the road, the
Things
village of
change.
Ross's Point is gonna want that water.
Okay, and if that's the case, if you know anybody that wants that water, send them to us.
Well, that's the thing. But on the flip side, you should ask them for the sewer to come back up. To negotiate the sewer.
You guys are professionals, you should think of these things.
I already have.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
we're not trying to.
Literally, I don't wanna, Tim, you hit it right on the head.
yeah. That's the problem.
Enough said from this board.
We were
Water is great, but I'd rather have the sewer.
Yes, we were, and I hope to get sewer. We're working on that too.
Why not do it while we're doing it? I might be dead.
I might be too.
And I've been looking for this for 20 years since I bought the property. I wanted to sell lots. Now it comes, I'm too old.
I'll stick this on the camera, we're more than willing to talk with anybody that wants water. And we can push it to them. Okay? The water source is from Champlain, they got plenty of water, they're telling us.
Because your system was built for the village of Ross's Point also, isn't it? It's big enough for that system.
12-inch pipe, I believe, going all the way to Rouse's Point.
Yeah.
That pumps a lot of
How
water.
big of a pipe?
Pardon?
How big of a
I
pipe?
believe it's a 12-inch pipe.
And you can hook right onto the water tower right there in the village.
Okay?
We're willing.
We're willing, we'll talk to anybody. Okay, if you can get that message, we
So what's the future here with the sewer? When is this gonna happen?
well, I'll tell you right now.
And are you gonna do a survey and go around and actually ask people if they want it or not? A current one?
Sewer is very important. We, okay. And, Bill, am I correct on this? If I'm incorrect, the water go by your property, you don't have to take it, but sewer, state law says you take it?
Yes.
For health reasons,
That's
okay?
a DEC.
DEC.
You only have to take it if you have a bathroom. If you convert your building to inside storage and you have nothing available, you don't have
Probably
to
right,
hook
I
up.
can't argue that point with
I
you.
already checked that out.
Okay, I can't argue that point, okay? But if you have a building with a toilet, then you're gonna take the sewer. It's not our law, DEC. We have some constraints too, what we can and can't do.
Can you say that again, Larry? Please?
If sewer goes by your property, state law says you have to take it. The water, you don't have to take, okay?
That's why I didn't hear you say so.
That's what I was told in the past. Okay?
I can see why.
Yes.
your shit.
And another thing, too, is that when you're gonna ditch open, why don't you put both in that same ditch? You can't even do that.
No.
Tim probably knows this. You gotta be a certain distance apart, so in most cases, the sewer's on the opposite side of the road. And
It's just a completely different system. Sewer is, you know, you try to have gravity.
West Service Road, right now, DOT is building an inspection station up on, is it Maisland's old lot, I believe?
Yeah, right across from Beeline.
Okay. They, the state, has agreed to put a sewer line from their building down towards the village. Turn it over to the town. They don't wanna maintain it. We need to add on to it, because most of the business is north of that.
And they want it.
What?
And they want it.
And they want it. Did you know, if I'm correct here again, any business with 20 employees or more has to get their water tested once a month through the county health department? I'm told that. Okay? If you're on a public system, you don't have to do that.
No, but then you have the problem of like, what happened with St. Mary's?
Well, you know, I can't answer that question. I'm not
You know, I
privy
mean,
to those.
that happens all the time. Morrisonville's just going
I
through a
think
big
that was a-
fiasco.
It was either a village issue or a school issue, and I don't wanna get into that. I don't know nothing about that.
I mean, I have to do my water at 3 months, quarterly.
Yes.
You know, we have a UV light in there, because that's what we're required. They come in, they test my water, I send out my report, all is good.
Can I
Piece of cake.
Can I ask approximately what it costs a month to get your water tested?
It's not, it's quarterly,
Okay, well, how much a quarter roughly?
$45
Okay. I didn't know that, okay.
compared to $565.
I understand. I understand. Any other questions? Yes.
And you said that there was, like, I think you said 3 wells that are filling up the, like the water towers in Champlain, which is where this water is gonna come from?
Yes.
And where are those located?
The Canal Street, is it Canal or?
Yes.
Canal.
Yeah, Canal Street. It's down near the river, but they're fairly close together, I understand, but they're really deep, 300-400 feet, I believe. They're bigger than an average well. The average well is
They're
8 inches or
artesian, I
something.
think.
These are probably 12 inch, whatever that. They're telling us they got an ample supply to supply the whole township and the village.
And so, if they're that close, you said they're in close proximity to the river, right?
Yes.
That river is basically, I would fairly say polluted with all the farm runoff, all the chemicals that run off all the farm and everything. What is gonna stop, like, say, if that contaminates those wells, what stops that from them going to every single person that's hooked onto your water?
Well, it's tested. Mickey, do you know how often it's tested?
That's tested for groundwater influenced by the health department, and they're clear,
Is it done daily?
not daily. What, once a year, Mike?
Yeah.
Because I know.
No, I mean, they have daily testing of the levels of chlorine.
Oh, yeah, as far as, yeah, you gotta test, I mean, there's a procedure every day, you have to maintain a water plant, there's testing, there's chlorination right now. I mean, once the village has their water softening operation, it's gonna be a little bit different. But as far as your question goes, those wells are tested for, it's called the influence of groundwater influence, so.
Are you gonna maybe have a list for anybody who wants to sign up
Yeah,
for something?
yeah.
There's one that went around.
Well,
Okay.
the list go around that wants to talk to the engineers? When you leave, if you would, just come up. Your name? Pardon?
They've got a list out there.
Oh, you got a list out there, fine.
It's full.
Okay. Okay, I get it.
You want it?
I will.
Everybody's here, I think, signs off on it.
Okay, all these people want to meet with engineers?
That's what it says on there, yeah.
Did you sign it, Tim? You don't want to meet?
Mainly to discuss the bill and my.
Tim Passong, sorry to cross your name up?
What?
You can cross off Shannon Savage as well.
Cross mine off.
Yeah, this whole.
That was for engineers, I didn't say it. I don't see it here, that's here.
Yeah, we were told it was a sign-in sheet.
Yeah, maybe you need a separate list, Larry, because it would be good to have that in the record too.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Maybe
were
for the
told it was
people-
for signing in.
Yeah, that's what I
You've
thought
already
it was
met with the
myself.
engineers.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
Please
people.
just step up when you leave. Leave me your name and telephone number probably. And depending how many requests I get, I can tell the engineers how long they might need to be here, what day of the week. I hope to do this in the next week, 10 days, I hope. They've been very good to work with. Your questions need to be answered by a professional, so to speak, okay? Any other questions?
The current bills are due on the 25th of March.
Yes, is that what it's, I haven't got that in front of me yet.
Okay, well, I have it right here, so it would be nice if they meet with us before then. I mean, people need their bills adjusted if
Okay.
some of them are, I mean, ours
Yes.
isn't, it's just the fact.
And believe me, we want to be fair. Our objective is to be fair. Okay, whatever the recommendation comes back, I would suspect from the engineers, I would suspect the board would highly consider those recommendations from the engineers, okay? No promises.
Once again, commercially, if a commercial property comes in, if the board can make exceptions and make changes.
If it's a recommendation of the engineers.
You gotta go through the engineer, you can't do it without the engineer.
No, they gotta justify why they might wanna reduce, if that's be the way you want to.
Wouldn't you know more, wouldn't the board know more about certain businesses and how well they're doing and whatever than an engineer would know?
I don't know the size of the buildings, I don't know how many employees they have.
There's other factors involved there.
Okay. so there's a
That's
lot of
why
factors
it's
involved.
important that they
Okay,
meet with
Steve,
the
one more
engineers to
question.
give them that information.
Do I assume I still have to pay that second bill till I get squared away with the.
My advice to you, I hope it's sound advice, you should pay the first bill, because your properties are
Yeah,
not
I'm gonna
merged
pay the
together
first
yet.
one, but,
If you merge your properties together,
uh-huh,
you need to let us know that,
okay.
okay? If you do that before the second billings go out, April, May, June, wherever it is there, we can get you off that list, probably, more than likely.
So I'll be paying my two bills for this time around, for sure. Okay.
Yes,
So if we pay this bill, okay,
yes.
I know I spoke to you and you said you can't do it in payments, it's gotta be one lump sum. If it is changed, the EDUs on a commercial property,
Yes,
will we see that credit the next quarter?
You know, I would hope to address that issue before this bill is due. Is that an answer?
No. I mean, we should, the way I do billing,
Pardon?
the way I bill, if someone overpays me,
Yes, give them credit.
they're, right. So if I'm overpaying this quarter and my EDUs are adjusted, I've overpaid. So am I gonna see a difference? Will I
gotta rely on the engineers. I hope.
But that's for you guys in billing. That's just a simple accounting.
If there's a credit, it'll be done next billing.
Yeah.
I do
So
billing.
if my EDUs go down, I have to pay what it is now.
If they tell me to change the EDUs, then there will be a credit
Okay.
on your next
I'm
bill.
just not sure if it can be retroactive, I think is the reason people are hesitating.
Correct. Yeah.
But the ball doesn't always roll that fast when you're working with different companies, interacting together with the town.
Yes.
So if they don't get the information to her before the next billing comes out.
I understand.
So there is a possibility it could be retroactive.
But they
I
are.
don't think it
I
can
don't
be, that's
think
the
so.
problem.
They are.
Because the billing went out, you know, they were billing a certain amount that needed to be raised to make this payment in January, and so it was based on the EDUs that are in the system now for all of the properties in that district. I'm not sure if you start adjusting them, if you can really go back, because it may, when you adjust some of those EDUs, reduce them for, say, a business or a property, now you're going to be increasing the amount, you know, it'll be slight, but you'll be increasing the amount that other property owners will be paying. Yet the same amount still needs to be raised.
If the town owns some property directly in the district, would the town have to be assessed and pay out of their general fund toward the construction costs? Or are you just gonna say, no, it's a part of the town, so there's no
Wash.
charge?
No, the town is being charged too.
Would
They
the town
have,
pay
they
it
have
out of
property
the, out of
in
the
the
general
town.
fund, and then it'll go toward whatever, what all the rest of us are paying?
Yeah.
Okay,
We're
thank
being
you.
billed right now for the landfill up there.
Okay, thanks.
But it's right here on this sheet.
Well, I thank you all. Please do sign up if you want to talk to the engineers. I will be calling them tomorrow. They've been very responsive to answer my calls.
Thank you.
I'd like to, one thing we gotta do here, we got two things to do. We gotta pay the monthly bills. I need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to pay the monthly bills.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? You got
I'm
additional?
gonna get it, yeah.
Okay, hang on.
John LeBounty, 2016 New York State dues for $180.
Okay.
I move that we add that to the list of bills to be
Okay.
paid. One motion to approve the bills as amended.
Okay. Any questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Julie's got one other bill for us to pay, separate.
Water District number 6, disbursement approval number 19, Bernier and Carr for $41,486.35.
Okay. And we must go through, we all need to sign that one. John, did you sign it? Okay, thank you.
Can we just talk about it?
Yeah.
I have a tough time coming in here and just routinely paying a $441,000 bill. I mean, I understand for the water district, but I want to understand what I'm voting to approve.
It's been approved, am I correct, Julie? It's been approved by the state, and they put the funds in our account. And then we need to reimburse whoever we owe it to. So the state has to approve these funds for the water district. We don't have this money until they approve it. And it takes 3 or 4 days, and it's wired to our bank. So the state is the one that, am I right, Mickey?
I think he wants to know what you're paying for.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Bernier and Carr Services.
Well, I'll put it this way, if somebody, I'd hire somebody, a contractor to come in my house, and he does a whole bunch of stuff, general contractor. And at the end of 5 or 6 months, I get a bill for $41,435. I'm at least want to know what is I'm paying for. Am I paying for the framing of the house, the roofing, the lawn? I mean,
Question understood. That's your kind of question.
Well, we're paying for them, for those guys to keep this thing going and moving along all the time. There's always 2 years working on this thing all the time. We're paying them by the hour. I do believe it's an hourly, they pay, even when those guys don't pay electricity, they bill us for that. They bill us for all.
So there is a bill.
We actually have an itemized percentage.
There is or
Yeah,
not?
but yes, we do.
Okay.
Okay, well, we have to do this voucher, so the money from the state will come to us so we can pay them.
If there was an itemized statement of what this was paying for, I would accept that, just
Well,
being
I
able to
think
look
it's
at
in there, isn't it?
I don't want to
It's
copy
there.
it.
It's there.
It's right here, if you want to.
Yeah, it's there.
6 pages
I
of
mean,
it right here.
All right.
I gotta say, I don't disagree with Clark's theory. His theory is correct. Now, did they just drop that off today?
Oh, I
For
don't
the
know.
first time that we've seen it?
I'm not sure.
Because if that's what it is, then that's not right. We should have some time to at least look at
Does it say in
what
there?
it is we're being
If I am
billed for.
correct,
This gives us a, right here, tells you what percentage of what they've done and how much they're charging for this. Look at it when you get over here.
Okay.
Everything is, there's 6 pages up here,
All right.
okay?
But when did we get that?
Let me see. I think it
well,
says,
you come in, just
And I'm not asking to get my own personal copy of it so I can scrutinize it.
well,
well, it does show today's date. On the
Yeah, that's probably,
invoice date is March 8th.
we probably just got this in, but that's the charges.
Well, Jane, earlier today, she had it. I mean, I don't know how long she had it, because before I left here today at 4 o'clock, she said, you just have to approve this today, but I don't know exactly when she got it. But she had it before,
This is not the first time that they've come to a meeting and handed us a bill when they were here.
Yeah.
There's gotta be a way to get it at least a few days.
Probably
beforehand.
by Friday before.
And then, you know, it's like, last time
And
it
it
was
should
30.
show itemized
Last time it
list.
was 30,000, I think, the last time.
Yeah.
It should be backdated for each time they put it in.
And then they're billing us, they have those people go down to that test boring, test boring people, send them the bill, they pay the bill, and we pay them.
I'm sure it's all legitimate.
At least get an idea.
And the state is in the middle of this, so I'm sure it's,
and the funds are not dispersed until the state approves them.
We don't pay the bill until the state approves it.
And where is the money for that?
EFC has to approve.
So this has already been approved by the state?
Yes.
For us to.
No, I don't think so.
No, not yet.
We can't, we don't pay
prove it
that
and we
bill.
pay it.
Yeah, we don't pay that bill until the state approves it.
they take that bill.
Then
and
we
they
get
go
the
through it.
money to pay Bernier and Carr. But the state has to approve the disbursement first,
before we pay them. The EFC, Environmental Facilities Corporation, they're saying we're lending you the money, so we
Right.
wanna see what we're lending it for. And then if it's approved, they wire the money to the bank, and then the money's in there to pay it. But you're right.
I still feel.
No, I think I agree with Steve. I mean, there's no point, if they can do it by Friday, I mean, that's, when we get our packet. Why can't it be done by Friday?
Support of that,
What, instead of
I don't like
Tuesday?
coming into a meeting and then we want to vote on something, and I have no knowledge of what I'm voting on, other than a chunk of money.
Yeah, we got it, I think years ago, we got involved in that, we went all through that, same deal we're doing now, I think. And
Can you
Bill? Dick or somebody else wanna go through the whole thing, so hey, take it, look for it. But the state's gonna go through it anyway, and they're gonna check it to be sure it's right, so.
Well, yeah.
Okay. But there
Well,
must
I
be a
have a motion
reason
on this.
why we.
I'd like to make a motion that we have the bills from Bernier and Carr by Friday before.
Yeah, but.
Oh, on
The
the
pay
this?
bill.
Okay.
I don't think
I'll
we'll make
make
a
a-
motion to request that, I can just
Okay.
request that. I need a motion to approve this particular bill.
I'll make a motion that we approve the
Okay.
current bill.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Anything else, Julie?
Yeah, I just have this, Raymond Beebe came in and he's asking for a waiver, a 30-day waiver notice, because he's applying for a liquor license. For he's leasing the restaurant and bar from the North Country Golf Course. And he just needs a waiver from the town.
Okay.
What does the waiver do?
I think what it is the requirement of when you submit your liquor license application, you have to verify or certify on that liquor license application that 30 days prior to the submission of this license, I have provided notice to the town clerk that I intend to seek a liquor license for this premise. That's it.
Yeah, you don't approve the license.
It's not approval license or anything. So what he's asking for is, because he probably wants to submit it, or was ready to submit it yesterday and realized he needed to send the town clerk this notice 30 days earlier, I guess. So he probably is asking for the waiver so he can submit his application without waiting the 30 days.
So it's just basically the same premise, only a different bar owner, or bar tenant.
Okay, so does that need to be in the form of a motion? It'd probably be handy, okay.
I'll go ahead and take that motion.
Anybody second it? Thank you. Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Anything else, Julie? Okay, we need an executive session for a legal matter, I think we would.
Pending litigation.
Pending litigation. You want me to stay in? Or did not?
Yes, well, I do, but that's up to the board.
Okay. You don't, make you stay.